Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ask Better Questions. I'm your host, Peter Adams, and for those of you who are new here, I have over 20 years experience in leadership and consulting. I'm a published author and speaker in the leadership space, and my mission here is to help excellent leaders become exceptional leaders through a better mindset. So in today's episode of Ask Better Questions, I want to cover a broad topic. The topic being why. Now this is not a why in the Simon Sinek sense of the word, but rather a why be a leader. Why lead? Why do what we do? Now, before we start the episode and I dig into it in depth, I'd like to take a minute to thank our sponsor, Color4 Solutions. Color4 Solutions offer leadership training for people who have reached a ceiling in their leadership journey and want to achieve more without dedicating substantial time and effort. So where should we start? Well, obviously, there are personal reasons that people lead. Not necessarily for egotistical reasons or deep-seated childhood trauma or anything of that nature, but rather because there are key benefits to oneself when you are an effective leader. Most obvious amongst this is personal growth and development. Leadership roles often require stepping outside of your comfort zone and learning new skills and taking responsibility, and this leads to significant personal growth and self-discovery. Some of the best people I know are great leaders, and that's not a happy accident. Some of the best people you will find on this planet are leaders, and that's because they've had to become really good people to be really good leaders. Now, obviously, there are other personal benefits, things like increased influence and impact in the world. Now, leaders have the power to make a difference, whether it's within a team, an organization, a community. They can shape decisions, inspire others, and drive positive change. And that's the headline. That's the one that everyone sees and says, oh, geez, it must be nice. But the personal growth and development I've found comes first. The increase in influence and impact in the world, that's something that is worked on for a period of time. And the last one, and these are in order in which they occur for me personally, is a greater sense of purpose and fulfillment. Helping others succeed and contributing to a large cause can bring a deep sense of meaning and satisfaction. Getting something happening, making something work better, getting a team working really well together, winning a premiership cup, all of these things add to your sense of purpose and fulfillment and achievement. Now, the benefits themselves don't just accrue to the leaders. So what I and many of my fellow leaders are attempting to do is to create a more efficient and more effective organization, which will drive society forward. And I like to call this collective progress. All right. So collective progress assists all of society by improving outcomes. These outcomes could be using less materials or inputs and raising productivity. I mean, arguably, this is what green energy is trying to do and things like that. A lot of environmental leaders are very much improving efficiency within things, but also increasing innovation. So when you come in and you get a team working really, really well, it improves the productivity. It improves your output. You also find you need less and fewer inputs, and predominantly more is achieved with less, which is great for the environment, great for the organization, great for society as a whole. But it goes deeper. There's also improving societal cohesion. Now the next part is going to be very, what people would call airy. You can't really put your finger on it exactly, but I find societal cohesion can be improved through good leadership. So raising trust throughout society improves societal cohesion. If we all admire our leaders, we increase trust and reduce conflict, thereby improving society at large. Solid leadership also empowers individuals. Strong leaders invest in development of others, fostering agency and empowerment within those individuals and communities. This leads to improved social mobility and a more engaged citizenry. Now, this is not just government leadership. This is not just leadership at community levels. This also extends to leadership in organizations. I mean, I would like to note that none of these things here are likely to appear on a balance sheet or even be measured in a traditional sense. But it is true that in many circles, the desirability of a country at large is determined by the stability and efficiency of its institutions. And that, in turn, is largely determined by the strength of leadership in those institutions. I'd like to follow on here, and before I leave you today, I'd like to suggest 2 exercises, okay? Now, the first one, this is a thought exercise. I'd like to encourage you to think about what the world would look like if we had significantly improved leadership in critical areas like education, like healthcare, and governance. What would change? Would it be autocratic or more chaotic in the near term? What would it look like, and what sort of developments do you see happening in those areas? Now, before we leave today, the second exercise I'd encourage you to take 5 minutes, like 5 minutes, and think about what area you want to improve and lead in. What would that area look like, and how and where would the benefits flow? Most importantly, start thinking of a roadmap to begin the journey to get there. What would you need to do? Who would you need to be that leader to make and start the improvement in that area? So as we wrap up today's episode, I'd like to reiterate the importance of leadership and encourage you to take those few minutes to do those exercises. I also wanted to keep today's episode short, but leave you with some takeaways and engage your own thoughts. Feel free to leave comments under the video or contact me via the links in the description if you're listening on the podcast. We always welcome feedback here. Now, thank you for joining me on the podcast today. I'm Peter Adams, and as always, until next time, keep asking those better questions.